Hey guys, thanks for joining us here at Salty Ginger Talk. If you're a returning listener, it's great to have you back. If you're new to the channel, we're really glad you joined us and we hope you like what you hear. Our podcast is for people that want to learn something new or make themselves a little bit better every day. And in today's episode, we're going to jump into a topic that's both a little bit controversial, but also critical. And that is why we think the United States should send less people to jail and for less time. So, let me start just by saying this. Supporting smarter approaches to justice is not about being soft on crime. We are not soft on crime. People need to pay for and understand when they do things that are wrong and against the law. Period. End of story. This is about being strategic, effective, and focused on long-term public safety. That's what our argument is. Right now, our current system is not working for that. Not for the offenders, not for the victims, and not for the taxpayers. So today, I'm going to give you 5 reasons that are compelling to me that we need to reduce jail time, supported by real data and hard truth. We'll also talk about smarter alternatives that turn lives around instead of breaking them down. So that's the episode. Let's just jump into it right now. Reason number 1 is that high incarceration rates do not correlate to more safety. We just have to deal with that major myth first. Locking up more people does not make us safer. It just doesn't. There's no data or statistics to support that. In fact, the data paints a different picture. The United States has about 5% of the world's population, but nearly 20% of the world's incarcerated people. That's almost 2 million people behind bars in jails and prisons across the country. Federal, state, local, the whole shooting match. It's almost 2 million. Now, here's the part that's crazy, is many countries with far lower incarceration rates have lower crime rates than the United States. For example, New York State has steadily reduced its prison population over the last 20 years, and violent crime has also declined during that same period. Meanwhile, Louisiana, one of the most incarcerated states in America, still struggles with high crime rates. So more people with longer sentences does not correlate in many instances to safer communities. So why is that? Why is it that way? It's because mass incarceration is a blunt instrument. It's like pounding in a finish nail to hang a picture with a sledgehammer. It does not address the root cause. Poverty, addiction, lack of opportunity, those can all be root causes to antisocial criminal behavior. And it doesn't address them by locking people up. The other thing about it is once someone's in the system, it's very hard for them to climb out. We're going to talk through that and some of the statistics behind that as well. But the takeaway here on point number 1 is that more jail time doesn't equal more safety. There's no data to support that. In fact, it often equals more dysfunction. So we got to keep that in mind as we go through here. Okay, reason number 2, jail time often worsens future behavior. It actually usually has the opposite effect of what we want by putting someone in jail. So pretty straightforward. The Bureau of Justice Statistics reports that 76% of people released from prison are rearrested within 5 years. The recidivism rate, 76%. That's 3 out of 4 people that come out of prison go back within 5 years. Why? Why is this happening? It's because jail time doesn't rehabilitate people. It often destabilizes them and their lives. Even a short stay in jail, let's say 3 to 6 months, can lead to the loss of a job, losing custody of your children, eviction from housing, severed relationships like a girlfriend or boyfriend dumping you, a husband or wife divorcing you, family members disowning you. All of those things could happen even from a short stay in prison. And then once they're released, these individuals face a world that's moved on without them and with a criminal record. Good luck finding meaningful work. Good luck finding stability. Good luck finding someone to rent a place to you with a crime or on your record or a criminal record. Like, it's tough. Once you're in there, it's a permanent mark on your history and it's very difficult to overcome. So the cycle creates repeat offenders, not reformed citizens. That's the challenge with it. And that's not a system designed to make us safer. It's one designed to keep people stuck. We'll give you a real example here. A man in Ohio was sentenced to 9 months in jail for a nonviolent theft charge. Was he wrong for stealing? Of course he was. Nonviolent, he stole, 9 months in jail. He lost his job, he lost his apartment, and when he got out, no employer would hire him because of his record. Within 4 months, guess what he was doing? He was stealing again and he was back in jail, this time to survive. Did he make a bad choice? You're goddamn right he made a bad choice. Did he deserve some type of recrimination for that choice? You bet he deserved recrimination. Jail for 9 months and not being able to set his life up after he gets out? That doesn't seem like we're setting someone up for success. Seems like we're setting someone up for failure. So we have to ask ourselves, are we solving the problem or are we making it worse? The statistics show that it looks like we're making it worse in many instances. Okay, reason number 3, mass incarceration is a massive financial drain on the government. Let's just talk money for a minute. The United States spends over $80 billion every year on incarcerating citizens. That's more than the federal government spends on education programs or public housing. Like, it's crazy. Think about it. Taxpayers are footing the bill for prison construction and maintenance, security personnel, inmate food, clothing, and medical care, and then all of the court proceedings and probation services that go along with incarceration. And what's the return on that investment? A system with sky-high recidivism and poor outcomes. Like we talked about, 3 out of 4 are rearrested and back in jail within 5 years. We're not getting good value. In fact, it would be more cost-effective to invest in prevention, education, job training, or addiction recovery. Every dollar spent on jail is a dollar that is not spent on real solutions. If we want less crime and more productivity, we need to reallocate resources to things that actually work. And so we've got to keep that in mind. It feels good and just to say you're going to go to jail because you did something wrong. But does it actually make society better? There's not a lot of statistics or data that show that it does. I think we should think that through and come up with a better way to rehabilitate people, show them the error of their ways, and help make them productive members of society. Okay, reason number 4. Jail's a bad fit for low-risk, nonviolent offenders. Let's just stop there for a second. If you're raping and murdering people, you're going to jail and you're going to be there for a long time. Totally got it. You've proven that you shouldn't be in society. We don't need you on the streets putting people's lives at risk. You're going away for a long time. Those are things that are just too terrible to allow the risk. And if we know someone is willing to do that once, there's a chance they're willing to do it again. They need to face serious consequences. They need to be removed from society. Totally got it. But low risk nonviolent offenders, why are we putting them in the same place? What are we doing? Jail is often the wrong tool for that problem. Nearly 40% of incarcerated individuals are in for nonviolent offenses. So of the 2 million people, that means 800,000 of them are in jail for nonviolent offenses. Drug possession, petty theft, probation violations. These people aren't necessarily dangerous. They're struggling. Like we talked about, if you're doing violent things, you're going to jail and you're going to be there for a while. We're 100% supportive of that. Make no bones about it. Nonviolent, and we set them up in this system where it's really hard to get out, it's like we're making the problem worse. So what happens when you send them to jail? They're often thrown into a chaotic environment with hardened criminals, with gangs and violence. So you've taken someone who is not into that world and thrust them into a world where they need to behave that way to survive. Instead of rehabilitation, they learn to survive. That's what they do. And many come out worse than they went in. We're having the exact opposite effect on people that we want to have. So an analogy is, imagine sending someone with the flu to a hospital full of COVID patients and saying, this will make you better. It doesn't work. It's just not real. It's just not true. The reality is we're overusing incarceration for people who need treatment, supervision, or community accountability, not a cell not being removed from society. So we got to think about this stuff in a more logical way instead of letting our emotions keep us on the path that has shown that it's not super effective at making people productive members of society. So that brings us to reason number 5, which is the alternatives to incarcerations work better. And we have proof. So let's start with drug courts. These programs allow nonviolent drug offenders to undergo intensive rehab instead of jail time. Not optional. You don't get a choice. You're going to rehab because you've proven you can't follow society's laws because of the addiction that you're struggling with. We're not asking, we're telling you this is what's going to happen. The result of that, according to the National Institute for Justice, drug courts reduce recidivism up to 35% compared to traditional sentencing. So that is creating better outcomes than incarcerating people who are struggling with addiction, and that addiction leads them to make bad choices and break the laws and do things like steal, right? Other alternatives include restorative justice programs, where offenders meet with victims to make amends. Like you have to face the consequences of your actions to the people that you wronged. Electronic monitoring, curfews, those hold people accountable without disrupting their lives. You can stay out, but you go to work and you come home. You break that, you're going to jail because you've proven that you're not taking this serious. You've proven that you're not trying to be a productive member of society. We're going to give you a shot. We're going to give you some resources. But if you fuck it up again, then we're going to ring the bell. That's how it works. Community service tied to job training. A lot of people don't have skills or training. Use them to do work in the community while at the same time training them for functional jobs once they're out of the program. That would be a much better use of people's time and resources than locking them in a cell and hoping they survive. And then when they come out, they've got no apartment, they can't get a job because they've got a criminal record, and they've got to rebuild their lives with 2 strikes already against them. It's not a real smart process when you stop and think about it. And finally, mental health courts for those whose crimes stem from untreated illness. There's a lot of people who have mental illnesses and they're not thinking clearly and they need help. Throwing them in a cell is not help. Throwing them in a cell is like throwing a drowning person in anchor. And that's what we're doing over and over and over again. The programs we talked about focus on accountability and transformation, which is where we should be spending our time and effort and money. Not punishment for punishment's sake. Punishment to make ourselves feel better, to make it feel just. Like that's a terrible approach. We should be looking at the solution and what makes society better. The best part of what we talked about is those programs cost less and they produce better both short and long-term outcomes. So why should we not invest some of the money that's being used to lock people up to give them the training, help, and support and accountability that will make them better people and make them productive members of society? In cities and states where these models are being used, crime is down and second chances are up. That's a future that's worth fighting for. That's a future that's worth considering. We're giving people a shot to turn their lives around instead of making it really difficult to turn their lives around, which is what the incarceration system does to a lot of people in it. And again, we'll say it one more time. Violent offenders, dangerous offenders, they're going away for a long time. We're 100% in support of that. But nonviolent offenders, people offending because they've got an addiction that they're struggling with, people that are offending because they've got mental health challenges, we should be giving them help, not jail time. It's a better way to invest those dollars and resources. It's going to create a better society with less crime and a safer society for all of us to live in. So let's just talk a little bit more about the alternatives. If we want fewer people in jail and better results, we need to build infrastructure for rehabilitation. That means diversion programs for first-time offenders. That means education and vocational training that prepares people for the workforce. That means cognitive behavioral therapy to address trauma, to address addiction, to address criminal thinking. We've got to get people's minds thinking differently if we're going to stop them from reoffending. And this one's really important. We need employment-first reentry models, like the Ready, Willing, and Able program in New York City, which cuts recidivism by 60% by combining work, housing, and accountability. We know that it works because we've got data that shows that it works. We just need the will and the leadership to invest in it. So it's terribly important. I used to have an apartment in downtown Cleveland. This is just an anecdote from my personal experience. And I was out for a walk one morning. I'm always out early. I'm out before most people are up. And I was walking down Cleveland, and there was a guy that asked me if I had $20. And I said, like, what do you need $20 for? And he said, I just got out of jail and I'm trying to catch a bus to Akron. I said, so you just got out of jail and like they didn't give you anything? He said, no. They let me out. They put me on a bus and dropped me off on the corner right over there. I have no money. I don't have a phone. I don't have a way to contact my family. I just got to get to Akron. And I don't take my wallet with me on those walks. When I go out in the morning, I don't take my wallet with me. I said, hang on, just wait here. I'll be back. I know you think I'm lying to you, but wait here. I'll be back. So I went and got $40 and I gave him $40. And I said, here's to buy a bus ticket and here's to buy some food. I can't believe that you get let out of jail and you have absolutely no opportunity to be successful. So I watched the guy walk down to the bus station and buy the ticket. So he was legit, because I know there's lots of people that are scammers out there that'll make up a story just to get $40 to go do something bad with it. This guy legitimately just got out of jail, and that was how we set him up. That was how we set him up to go back into society. Was, here you go, you're on a corner in downtown Cleveland and you have no resources available. Good luck. What do you think that guy's going to do? He's going to be desperate, and he can make bad decisions and wind right back up where he came from. It's a terrible system that we have set up in place. We know there's better ways to do it. We got to seriously talk about those ways. So let's just wrap up real quick with a quick recap. Our 5 reasons that we need to reduce jail time. Number 1, incarceration does not guarantee safety. The numbers do not correlate. Number 2, jail time, in fact, often makes people worse, not better. Number 3, it's an enormous financial burden with a poor return on investment. Number 4, many low-risk offenders don't belong behind bars. They need help, not jail time. And number 5, the better alternatives that we talked about are proven to work and cost less. We should be diverting more and more people towards those programs. And remember, there's accountability in those programs. You don't just get off free. It's not, I will trust you to do the right thing. You've proven that you need some oversight, and we're going to create a system where there's oversight to help make you a better person. But here's the bottom line. We can both be tough on crime and smart about how we dispense justice. Those things are not mutually exclusive. We need to rethink how we approach those things in our country, because it's clear based on the number of people that return to prison, the number of people in prison, and the amount of crime that happens in our country, that our current system isn't getting it done. So these are some alternatives. We hope we're able to at least make you think about it, hopefully change your mind, and hopefully we can move to something like this and our leaders understand that this is a better path for all of society. So we want safer communities. We want stronger families. We want a healthier society. The answer is not more cells. It's more second chances. Let's keep that in mind. Okay, so James puts it up over here every day. Head over to our website, saltygingertalk.com. All of our podcast episodes are available there. All of our links to our social media accounts are available there. And we've got a newsletter we publish every weekday you can subscribe to on our website. Also, please like, comment, share, subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you consume it on. Super helpful if you're able to do that. This episode will air on a Friday. Hope you had a great week. Hope you have a great weekend coming up. And we will see you on the next episode.